guys.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Joshua.
And Caleb.
And don't be alarmed if I'm not looking sweet and preciously into your eyes, because I'm driving.
Very important.
And it's very important that we stay safe. We are on the very first Bearded Bible Brothers road trip,
Yes.
which is pretty exciting. Maybe you've noticed our lack of Faraday foil today. That's because the good Lord has blessed us with a new Faraday van.
It only took a few weeks.
Only took a few
Thank
weeks.
you, Lord.
We were targeted for a bit, but we made it out, and that's why we thought we'd go on this sweet little road trip to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Brother, pop quiz. Last time we were on a road trip to Oklahoma, we were...
Hunting Sasquatches.
That's right.
We
you think that's
absolutely
a
were.
joke? We have footage.
Yes, sir.
Hunting Sasquatches that were harassing local indigenous tribes here in Oklahoma.
On the Indian reservations, we were shooting a pilot for Discovery Channel. You know, maybe we'll talk about that someday, but not today. You see, we're on a road trip for our Jewish roots. We're going to shoot an interview with...
Hey, come on! Sorry. You get going and you start cruise controlling, and then somebody slams on the brakes, and this person over here only has one finger on their hand that they're waving at me.
It's the Christian bird, right?
It was the Christian. Yes.
Okay.
It was like from Chick-fil-A.
Gotcha. Yeah. Jesus chicken. Yeah. I think we need to talk about dealing with anger today. You know, road rage, the whole thing. There's a lot of scripture about dealing with anger. The Bible focuses on a lot. Everybody throughout history focuses on dealing with anger, and they have their own mottos and their own ways of dealing with it. But we want to go through a scriptural method to dealing with anger because it's a problem from the beginning of time that man has dealt with.
It's true. Hey, we could stop over there at that building and double our Faraday van budget. Oh, that's a casino.
No, let's not do that.
Guys, here's the deal.
Yeah.
Anger is one of those things in life that is a mask for something else that's actually going on.
Oh, what do you mean, like?
Most of the time, if you're yelling at somebody with your middle finger, it's not because you're just angry, it's because you're afraid of something.
Fear? Okay.
Fear is generally the propulsion jet engine to getting people into anger. Why do I say that?
Yeah.
Because anger protects an individual who's afraid.
Yeah.
When we have fears, whether that's fears of getting left behind, left out, lied to, waved at with the wrong finger, disrespected,
Yep.
any of those things, we react out of anger because anger is a protection mechanism for ourselves.
That and smashing your thumb with a hammer.
That's one of those things too. And so that's why it's important that when we start to get into anger or somebody else starts to get anger, instead of just dealing with the symptom, which is the anger, that we look to get to the cause of what's going on.
Okay, well, let's focus on scripture. What does the scripture say about anger? You know, our man Solomon in Proverbs wrote about anger a lot. Proverbs 15:18, a hot-tempered person stirs up conflict. Proverbs 22:24, do not make friends with a hot-tempered person. Do not associate with one easily angered, but the one who is patient calms a quarrel. How about Proverbs 29:11, fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end.
Guys, another big thing, and I know you boys don't want to hear this at home, but another big cause of anger and reacting is called immaturity. That's a dirty word for most men because women have been slinging that word at us as long as we've been born as males.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're mature. I love you all. But immaturity has caused us to act out. Now, even guys like said man after God's own heart, David.
Yeah.
Even he had a moment. Do you remember this moment?
Oh, the story of David and Nabal. You see, David was on the run from Saul. He decided to hide out with his men around Nabal's field, protect their workers during the harvest. And he's like, wait, you did a good job protecting his workers. How about you share a little of that flavor with us? Sent messengers to Nabal. Nabal said, He used a Christian bird on him, basically. Greatly insulting. David says, strap on your swords, gentlemen, it's murder time. He goes out to commit the murder bloodbath of the century, but he's stopped by one Abigail, Nabal's wife, who heard about all the duty words that he spewed out, and with a kind word, she brought resolve. Isn't that interesting?
Interesting that you can actually calm things down and think through it and defuse the situation without murder time.
And Scripture says this as such. Proverbs 15:1, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Proverbs 19:11, the discretion of a man makes him slow to anger, and his glory is to overlook a transgression.
don't drive so close, 18-wheeler. Oh, sorry. Another thing that people don't think about very often is the psychology that has gone into the study of anger and what it actually does to the human body.
Yeah.
You know, there's a age-old phrase that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words won't ever hurt me.
Yeah.
Words being this outpouring of your heart. Anger has actually been proven to cause your body severe issues physically.
True.
Everything from high blood pressure, heart attacks, strokes.
That's right.
All kinds of bad situations happen when you focus on the bitterness and the anger and you allow it to consume you, which is why there's verses that speak against that.
That's right. Ephesians 4:26-27. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. And do not give the devil a foothold. I'm going to stop right here. That's very interesting. Give the devil a foothold. When you're angry, it not just hurts the people around you, it destroys your family, it destroys you because it opens the doorway for spiritual entities to come and torment you even more, to make things worse than they actually are. James 1:19-20, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. It's like, we gotta be about our Father's business. What about Yeshua? Was Yeshua, always getting angry all the time? I mean, he had cause to be angry. What about on the cross?
This is the deal. They have a term for this. I've tried to use this term a lot with my wife when I get a little bit of road rage on the road and she doesn't believe me. Righteous indignation. So for all of you out there who are trying to argue that your anger is righteous, when you're throwing that finger out the window in a car ride, it's not. Yep. But you can be angry and sin not. And that righteous indignation that Jesus had, for instance, when the money changers and everything were in the temple and he overthrew everything.
That's true. So there was a moment where he showed his anger because it was something that was violating the protocols of God. It was blatant sin and transgression, and out of the injustice, the Lord spoke up. So we can have those moments where we react with righteous anger. You see that with Phineas in the Bible. He caught the Israelites with their pants down. Righteous anger. We don't want you to do that. Daniel at the Feast of Belshazzar saw them violating God's golden utensils from the temple. He was filled with righteous anger. So there's moments that we can react with righteous anger toward the enemy, but you notice Yeshua on the cross, he never reacted in anger. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. And Yeshua himself spoke and related anger to murder. It's absolutely true. Matthew 5:21-22. You have heard it was said to those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever commits murder shall be subject to judgment. But I tell you that everyone who is angry with his brother shall be subject to judgment. And whoever says to his brother, Raka, shall be subject to the council. And whoever says, you fool, shall be subject to fiery Gehenna.
And it's interesting because the question I would have is it literally mean I can't call somebody a fool? Is that what that word Raka is really meaning when Yeshua was saying it there?
Well, it was.
I don't want to go to hell for calling somebody a fool. I'm just going to say that.
Like that idiot over there. I mean, Raka was an Aramaic term. It meant empty, as in empty-headed, as in
as in that driver over there.
As in that driver over there. Yeshua is kind of talking to the upper religious echelon class who looks down upon the idiots, the lowly in society, saying, "Hey, don't do that because you're committing this sin of murder in your heart." Colossians 3:8. But now you must also rid yourself of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips.
Now let's just be honest. If you're trying to follow Colossians, don't drive on Highway 35. Not at any part. Not where it touches Canada. Not where it goes to Mexico. Not anywhere in between in Texas or Oklahoma, because you're going to be in danger of breaking every rule on that piece of paper.
Okay, what about Romans 12:19? Never take your own revenge, loved ones, but give room for God's wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Adonai. So, are we God's hand of judgment on this earth,
I know we want to be. And I know that most of you fancy yourself a pretty nice judgmental hand, but he says don't do it.
It's like do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Some people call this karma. We don't believe in that Buddhist garbage, but it's true. If you react in evil towards someone, it's going to come around. What goes around comes around. And you don't want evil to come back on you. You don't want the Lord to remove his hand of protection from you.
This is true.
It's absolutely true.
Trust me on that one.
So I think we should get back to this righteous indignation, this righteous anger, because here's a problem. When everybody's getting angry at common man, they're forgetting to get angry at the enemy, which I think we all have cause to.
Well, we talk about this a lot, and that is not getting caught up with fighting a battle that isn't helpful or isn't the right battle.
Yeah.
So in this case, when you're fighting against the anger, you're forgetting to realize that there's a spiritual cause below the surface that isn't just the emotional cause, it isn't just the physical cause that it seems like this fight or everything is about, and you need to take authority over those spirits and actually fix the situation.
Because there's a problem, guys, that most people react all in the natural, and they don't understand when the enemy comes and he steals from you, he kills, he destroys. He's out there to step foot and take your property, take your health, take your family, take your finances. And a lot of times we don't react as if it's from him. We react against man. But he's the source behind it, and we need to recognize that he's the source. And we need to take authority over that using the power of the dominion that Yeshua has given us over all heaven and over all earth. We have that authority. So when Satan comes and trespasses on your property, he's trespassing against God. He's breaking God's laws and God's covenants, and we need to hold him to task. And we need to make him pay, literally kicking him in the teeth so he will learn his lesson and stop trying to do it the time after that and the time after that.
That's exactly right. It's the same idea as squatters. They're not going to get out of there unless you throw them out of there.
Yeah.
It's your job. We talk a lot about inheritance and what God has given you, what he's declared for you, what he's spoken over you. But remember what we always say, it's not yours till you take it.
That's right.
Having something that you are entitled to is not the same thing as taking something. So having the authority over Satan is not the same thing as using your authority over Satan.
That's true.
And he is going to try every time that he can to get away with something that he's not allowed to technically, and he's going to try to make you believe that he is allowed to do it. And that's what he does with circumstances. The reason that the enemy uses circumstances as his main tool is very, very ingenious, but very simple. Get your eyes off Jesus. If he can get you to look at a circumstance, oh, well, this person said something that offended me. Oh, well, look what just happened. That guy flipped me the bird. Oh, well, you know what? I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough money today. Whatever it is, a circumstance that he puts in front of you, he makes that circumstance your God in that moment.
Yeah.
Because you begin to serve it, and they're not standing up against him and putting him in his place.
Now, guys, Ephesians 4:1-3 says, I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you to walk worthy of the calling with which you were called, with all lowliness and gentleness, with long-suffering, bearing with one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. So that's the key to diffusing anger, love.
Dang it.
That's how we need to react toward our enemies. That's how when these bad things happen, we remember the love of Messiah. We cancel the power of that anger, that hold that it holds over our lives, so that it's not Lord over us. God is Lord over all.
Exactly. Now, I'm not telling you if somebody's trying to punch you in the face to go hug them, because you might get hit still. But no, realize and don't get caught up. I talk a lot, me and my wife talk a lot about the difference between a conscious, premeditated decision and reacting. In life, a lot of times, the biggest fights that we have, the silliest fights that we have, moments where we say and do things we wish we didn't, was because we reacted. Instead of stopping, choosing not to react to what we're feeling, and making a conscious, premeditated decision for peace, or for whatever it is in the situation. At that point, you can actually get somewhere, but if you don't, you're going to get caught up in the devil's scheme. Or find yourself on Highway 35.
That's true.
Or at that casino over there. Wow, that's a big casino.
Stay away from that casino. We love you guys. Have a fun summer. Enjoy your road trips. And watch out for those Raka drivers out there. They're
not nice. Well, that's a good sign. That one says, Jesus has everything you need.
Yeah.
Okay, now that sign right there says Salazar Roofing. Salazar has, oh man, I just promoted him. Salazar, you're a genius. You just put yourself next to the Jesus sign. I respect that. Oklahoma.